Hey everyone, Internet PCS book reader here. Today I want to talk about Hereditary Triangle by Funiya Hayashi. Okay, I know I started the Atlas trilogy from Olivia Blake, but I was really busy at the time of finishing the book. Then I also had that marathon stream on Stardew Valley first year where I stream about 10 hours a day, so I only managed to finish that book after almost a week has passed. So I decided to read something shorter before continuing the Atlas Paradox just to keep up with my own decision to read at least 2 books a week. I want to talk about romance story in manga form. I think almost every romance in a long series have a problem where the will they won't they, the main character and their love interest quickly wore out. For me personally, this doesn't just apply to manga since even in western series, the romance subplot in for example Grey's Anatomy or The Big Bang Theory or even Friends, it's just that manga that is mostly a media of long-term storytelling suffers the most from the storytelling like they were being stretched on purpose so they can sell more volumes, not that they have more story to tell. For example, name every series Rumiko Takahashi has written, the tennis manga Baby Steps, and the later tennis manga Blue Box, even something as loved by the general public like Horimiya and My Dress Up Darling, at the end of their story feels like stories that should have been over quite a while ago. Reading them feels like they somehow contributed to how low the birth rate there are along with all the other causes that is too long to discuss in Japan now. But that's where in romance, one-shots or short manga usually shines the most compared to the lengthy ones that the long series have. For example, the one that I wanted to highlight right now is Hereditary Triangle. In this manga, two young men named Kotaro Fujiki and Kajiwara was the best of buddies despite having such different personalities. The introverted Fujiki and the outgoing Kajiwara was friends because they live right next to each other, and Kajiwara often comes to Fujiki's house that sells used books to read for free. Maybe because Kajiwara is someone who Fujiki could never become, he not only cherished him as a friend but also looked up to him. A few years later, they're now in high school and Fujiki started a relationship with a girl named Toko, who Kajiwara also loves. And while they're dating, Kajiwara never stops being a third wheel on every date and is always joking that Toko should also enter a relationship with him and not just Fujiki. Fujiki never took it seriously because it's never meant to be taken so seriously. It's a joke that they do because they're young and they're fools who don't know how setting boundary works, but deep down because of Fujiki's insecurities, he always felt that one day Toko will eventually leave him for Kajiwara and he'll start hating him because of it. But it never happened. Not because Kajiwara stopped loving Toko or Fujiki felt he has won Toko's love like it's a prize for a competition he won, but because Kajiwara just left and vanished on a trip of self-discovery. They try to stay in contact with letters, but eventually as time passes, the letter no longer comes as often and eventually stops. So Fujiki never got the answer if Kajiwara will someday steal Toko from him because he never actually asked. He just let the thought rot inside him. Now those are all flashbacks. The story actually started with Fujiki, who have grown into a salaryman. He moved back to his hometown recently because he was worried about his mother, who have grown older and now alone after his father's death. It has also been about 1 year since he received the news that Kajiwara died on an accident, but he still hasn't gotten over his insecurities about Kajiwara and Toko. So the question, will Kajiwara one day steal Toko, changes to will things be different if Kajiwara were still alive? It is not the newest type of story, it's basically just another story of a guy who cannot communicate properly to a woman he loves despite being married to her for years, which you can just easily see outside of fiction anyway. The lesson in this is so far just don't be a Fujiki and communicate properly with your loved ones. But the story don't just end there. When Fujiki and Toko go to his old home, he saw Kajiwara, who was supposed to be dead, got out of his home. Fujiki chases after him thinking that he might have saw a ghost or something, but it's not Kajiwara. He's Kaoru, Kajiwara's son who have grown old and was on a holiday to his dead old house to check on his belongings. After they cleared up the misunderstanding, they invited him to their house. Toko offered to help Kaoru clean up Kajiwara's house, but Fujiki, who still have such a strong insecurity, projected his one-sided issue with Kajiwara to his son and offered to help him instead of Toko. Fujiki helped Kaoru clean up Kajiwara's house and his collection of weird stuff from around the world, and for some reason he started confessing to the much younger Kaoru about his insecurity to his dead dad. The next day, because Fujiki had to help his mother go to the hospital, Kaoru had a chance to ask Toko the nature of their triangle relationship, how his dad and Fujiki can still be friends despite his father keep chasing Toko, who is already in a relationship with Fujiki. To answer this, Toko decided to take Kaoru on a date on an aquarium, and here she revealed that she has once here on a date with Kajiwara, just as a friend. She loved Fujiki and has been in love with him for the longest time. It's just Fujiki, in all his messed up insecurity and trust issues, refused to accept that someone as beautiful as Toko can be in love with him instead of the brilliant and bright Kajiwara. As messed up as it is an insecurity that comes up from his love to both Kajiwara and Toko, and that insecurity only got worse when Kajiwara died because of the grief and regret that is now mixed into those emotions. I like the exploration of memories in the story. That's why we only see Kajiwara from people recalling memory of him. I think that's also why Kajiwara hoards the things that he got from wherever he goes, because of his obsession with having a physical aspect of those memories. And that's also why Kajiwara and Kaoru's hobby and work of photography become one of the main plot in the story. While cleaning Kajiwara's house, Kaoru saw a photo that his dad took on Fujiki and Toko looking like a happy couple on a beach. This is despite hearing from Fujiki earlier that his dad doesn't take photos of people because there are things outside of those pictures he takes that will change the nature of the picture he took them, and that makes him want to avoid taking photos of people. So there is a possibility that his dad lied to his best friend for some reason. He mentioned the beach to Fujiki and Toko decided that they should take a trip to the beach since it's been so long since they went there anyway. It is in this beach that Kaoru remembered his conversation with his dad about his reason to take photos, to remember all the fun stuff and forget all the sad stuff, about how he will run away if he cannot forget the sad stuff. The people we met in the story so far has only remembered the best part of Kajiwara. They even exaggerated them to the point that they all believe that he will die even if people try to kill him. Because of their love of him as a friend, they forget that he is also a human being that had weaknesses. He vanished from their life because he realized that he'll never have Toko. That made him sad and that made him escape. Fujiki is not the only one running from him, which makes him feel so guilty that he always sees the shadow of Kajiwara out of the corner of his eyes wherever he goes in this small town, and not even just because of his guilt, but also because he misses him, because he loved him as a dear friend, but grief and insecurity twisted that into an inferior complex about his wife's love to him. And in a way, Kajiwara also ran away because of his own fallibility as a human being, because he cannot process his complex emotion too. Maybe in time he'll reach out to his dear friend once more and they'll have a healthier, more mature friendship after some time has passed, but unfortunately, he had an accident and things snowballed onto his current state. Kaoru tells Fujiki about all of this and he showed them the picture that Kajiwara took of them, and he showed them a picture that he took where you can see how much love can be seen on the way Toko looks at him. The next day, Kaoru's summer holiday is over and they all send him to the airport. He'll be back to town one day, unlike his dad, because of the relationship that he has built over the short stay he had there, and the story ends with Fujiki no longer seeing the shadow of Kajiwara again, finally going through all the phases that grief have. I like the story. It's not the best of the best, but I like its portrayal of how complicated feelings can be, how one emotion can be mixed with another, and people misunderstood themselves and misunderstood others. It's a very mature story that shows the complexity of emotions, why sometimes adults can say, "You'll understand it when you're older," to a kid question. Because, frankly, they all still don't fully understand it themselves. Emotion can blind you to the things that should have been obvious, and the importance of untangling that mess before it squeezes you and probably doom you. As a romance, it's not the best because it's more of a human drama, but I think it still has the charm that romance offers in such a small package. This is just a 10 chapters read. Give it a try if you're interested. I give this a 3.25. What do you think? Let me know if I missed anything, so leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it. See ya.